Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive. Greetings dear ones, I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. It's a really profound message, is it not, that you just heard. And I want to enhance it even further, but I want it to be this group. There are so many who would ask the process of channeling, it's who's really talking? If you could suspend just for a moment in this room all of the ideas of what you believe is happening now, all the ideas that you've been told by those around you, by your parents, by the authorities, by the teachers, if you could suspend all of that into a soup of unknown, and just for a moment be without any knowledge that you've been given, and be ready instead to accept that which is spiritual common sense, and that which intuitively you feel, instead of that which you've been told you should. If you could do that for a moment, I'll tell you what would happen. You wouldn't ask who's talking. There would be a sudden alliance. You could know the words before I speak them. You'd know that inside each one of you there is a glowing, metaphysical, metaphorical ball of energy called your soul. Without bounds it is. Without a place, really, it is. And yet it resides in you. Your soul also resides out of you, and we have said that before. It's enormous. It's got your name on it. Remember, I don't want you to remember. I don't want you to remember anything you've been told. Right now, the playing field is blank with no energy at all. What do you feel is the possibility that you were born on purpose, and that residing in you in some mysterious way is the beauty of the Creator of everything? And what happens in this is a oneness that goes way beyond the room or you or the land you live in. It's a oneness with the air you breathe, which is also from the Creator. And if you could suspend all of the things for just a moment that you've been told, this is the way it works, this is what to expect, here's what's next. If you suspend that, I would like to tell you something. You can start building a truth that goes beyond anything anyone has ever told you. And you can call it, your name goes here, truth. Because it's the truth of you. And you start asking questions, and if you want to metaphysically, metaphorically muscle test them, do it. Am I here on purpose? Yes. Does the Creator of the universe know me? Yes. Is it possible that when I die as a human being, that beautiful part of me goes back to the creative source? Yes. Therefore, say it, it makes you eternal. It makes you not a human. The human is simply the vessel that is being used right now. It's in the mirror every day. But the real you is magnificent and is loved by God. God is the name you made up. Human being, you made it up. If you don't like the name, make up something else so that you like it. The eternal light, the great central sun, Spirit, the creator of all things. Give it a name. It's you. And what this actually will do, if you can simply suspend all of the chatter of who you're supposed to be, what this does is enable you and empower you to solve the things you came in with. Now we get personal. I know who's here. I know who's here because the God in you and the God in me are the same. You're entangled with everyone here. And without even knowing that which is the problem you walked in with, I can say it's solvable. More than solvable. When you start changing the chemistry of your belief, your body responds. We're going to talk more about that tonight. In fact, I'm going to give you the title of tonight's message. My partner, don't be shocked, because he has no idea. And the title is, Who Do You Think You Are? Now, my partner will worry about it all day. And that's his issue. Dear ones, what I'm telling you, you really don't know. You really don't. You think you do. Yes, I've been told I have a piece of God inside. Thank you. What's for lunch? The profundity of what you have from the Creator inside you is lost on most. And when you start understanding that the fire of creation, of life itself, resides in you, you realize that all things that would straighten out your life are there already in the field. It's a matter of selecting them with a human consciousness that starts to be tuned to this truth. There are those who say, well, I have an alliance to a prophet that I'm very fond of. And I ask you this, does the prophet feature love? And you say, yes, the prophet features love. And I said, then stay with it. Because that is the key. The prophet will eventually tell you that you're God. The prophet will eventually tell you that you're sons of God. There's nothing wrong with the following of those who give messages as long as they are the truth of love. But you're not compelled, dear ones, to go in any direction except one. Except one. Sit there without a bias and accept what is coming in love. How many of you are brave enough to say, I have no idea what I'm going to do about this or that or this or that? But I have peace in my heart for the first time because I know what's coming. Solution. Healing. Peace. There are those in this room who cannot stop the chatter. I know who's here. And that chatter is something you will say, well, I was born with it, or it's always been there, or I worry about this and I worry about that. Are you listening, my partner? And the chatter is you, dear ones. There are those that say, how can I stop the chatter? And the answer is by stopping the chatter. There's a button in your brain labeled chatter, and you push it all the time. And as strange and odd and humorous as it sounds, this is the bias that you've been taught. Taught these things by your parents, by society, by those you trust. This is a shift of everything. It's a shift of you. It's a shift of paradigms. In this planet right now, there are so many awakening to the idea that you don't have to have a certain way. What has happened even in the last 2 or 3 months regarding leaders on the planet who've had a shift, of others who've had a shift? You start to see it on your news, dear ones. Not to repeat necessarily the channel we've given before, but the news will tell you, well, it can't be true, it's temporary, or there's something else, because of the chatter. And the chatter that says that nothing can be good, it'll always return to something poor. And expect drama. That's the chatter. It will someday start to reduce. When human beings tune in and expect good things and not bad. When the very word drama means something else. Let me ask you something. When 33 miners came out of the ground in 2010, was there drama? And the answer was yes. And it was all over their faces, and they cried. And they hugged one another, and they said, this is impossible. This never could have happened. And the relatives were on their knees. That's a drama, dear ones, that's different than before. It's a drama of rejoicing, of human emotions in a state of euphoria because good things happen. Can you imagine yourself in a state of euphoria with tears running down your cheeks because good things have happened to you? And if you can, that's the first step. That's the first step. Knowing that you're here on purpose, that you deserve good things, and that there's a way out of the darkness. This is the message that Kryon has always given in so many different ways. But for you and for this group and for today, it's practical, it's pertinent, it's real. Now I say what I always say. The message is winding down, so you don't have to suspend your belief anymore. You can go right back and put all the chatter back. Everything that everybody told you you should or should not do can come right back if you want it. So your free choice. Wouldn't it be nice to be your own person to the degree that people don't see you as obstinate or stubborn, they see you as loving. You're your own person in integrity and love. You know what you want. And it has results. And I will tell you, the people who may criticize you today because of what you say in this way will be on your doorstep later asking you how you did it. That's the truth. You have an avenue to peace and solution, lack of drama and health. And that avenue points right back to the source of all that is, which lives in you. And so it is.
Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Goodness, the day has gone so fast. We are now in our last segment of the day. I want to thank all the presenters that have joined us today, and most of all, deepest heartfelt love and gratitude to everyone that has joined us online for today. Now, I want to remind you that we have the Lemurian Sisterhood that's going to be happening after this event, and that will commence at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And you can still register. If you haven't registered yet, I highly recommend doing so. Registrations are going to be open until 5 p.m. Pacific time, so you still have about 40 minutes from now to register for that. And Amber Wolf will be presenting her Sacred Sisterhood Circle, and she will be joined by Lee Carroll, who will deliver another delicious channel for the Lemurian Sisterhood. Okay. Tomorrow we will be starting at 10 a.m. Just a reminder, tomorrow 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be joined by a special guest, Dr. John Ryan. So really looking forward to that. And let us now move into a short meditation as we get ready for the final channel of the day from Adironda and Kryon. I invite you to close your eyes and place your hand on your heart center. And allow yourself to take some deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through your mouth. And allow the rhythm of those slow breaths to communicate to your body that you are in a safe place. Creating a safe environment. Creating a connection to the intelligence and the wisdom of your heart. Could there be a loving, benevolent source of energy that wishes to communicate to you? And if you are open to the possibility that such a thing could exist, what would that communication be? What questions do you have? What issues do you face? What are your challenges in life right now? Is spirit in a vacuum from you? Or could it be possible that every single aspect of your life is known by the Creator? And that solutions are already being created in the field? And if that is the case, perhaps you could just allow yourself to relax and be wise in the timing of spirit, that all will be delivered in perfect divine order. And let us give gratitude and thanks that we can now have the privilege of hearing the wisdom and the guiding counsel from Adironda and Kryon.
So it is good day to you, huh? Very good to see you, and you. Once again, dearest, and you. Once again, dearest beings of light that you are. You see, just as our divine Monica brings in so much from the council with that energy and with that focus, that to know that you are indeed a part of the divine frequency of benevolence in this galaxy, and to know that there are 40 billion other planets that could carry life in this galaxy. Imagine that you are the unique being that you are, that there is no other being like you in this dimensional frequency. As you take a deep breath on that, just think, what is there about myself that is unique and special, and as because each one of the creations of the universe are indeed unique and special. There is no other you around. So with that possibility of asking yourself, what is it about you that decided to be here now out of all of the possibilities and choices that you were given before you arrived here? What is it that you are to learn, to experience, to have, to grow through, to accommodate, to live your divine life purpose? We know that is a big question, eh? A big question for you. Well, Vessel Marilyn asked that question over and over and used to change jobs maybe every 2 years until she came to this and realized, oh, this is what you've been talking about all this time. You see, each one of you has a mission. Each one of you has a purpose. Each one of you has an acknowledgement that is living and making and being the difference on this planet and in this galaxy. We're not sure that you're aware of that completely. I mean, hear lots of people wandering around saying, well, if I have such a big mission and purpose, what in the world is it? Breathe into the possibilities of it. Breathe into whatever could be in your wildest dreams what you would be doing, being, experiencing right now, here in this moment. You chose to come here. We know some of you are choosing that you wish to leave here, yet your mission is not done here. Your mission is still here. So what could it be? It may be simply to be a glowing light on this planet wherever you go. It may simply be to provide an outlet for dogs that are rescued. We have a friend that was a doggy foster care, had a doggy foster care center that when they were in between spaces and before they went to a no-kill pound or something, that she would help retrain the dogs that had been abused. Now, how did she ever come to that aspect? Well, we asked her, what is it that you love doing the most? And she said, playing with dogs. Well, the Syrians are overlighting the dogs, but sometimes dogs are treated harshly and they get to be retrained so they can re-enter society. You know, we asked another person, what is it that you love more than anything else in the world? And she said, well, I just love playing with babies. She herself could not have babies. So she just said, I loved playing with babies. And we said, well, volunteer at the hospital and see if they will let you come and just hold babies from time to time. She actually went to school to become a therapist in the pediatrics area and is now like a nurse or something, because she liked to hold babies. Every single one of you is unique. We know, we've been telling you that for 21 years. Are you going to get it now? Are you going to receive the fact that you are a divine creation of the world, of the universe, of the galaxy, of the beyond the galaxy? You are you. And you have that frequency. You have that gift. You have that energy that is a gift to all that you encounter. We think a few weeks ago we told someone to play the song, the old song by John Denver, The Gift or The Present or something. Play it, because it reminds you of who you are. And then acknowledge that you get to receive a gift from others as well. You see, so many times we give and we give and we give and we give. And in that giving, we also receive, yes. But sometimes you just get to say, thank you. I receive whatever you have to offer. And know that just by receiving something from someone or something, you are actually giving back. For they receive the gift of giving to you. So we ask you, dearest, what are you sharing? What is it that you choose in your world? Our dear host, Cheryl, she's got all kinds of things she's sharing. She's got the manifest your mastery. She's got all kinds of things. And teaching intuition. She's living her mission and expanding it on a global scale. Now that is her mission. Your mission may be to hold babies. Your mission may be to touch lives in a way that they have not been touched. You know, you have a client that said, what do I want to be when I grow up? And we said, what do you love? And she says, I love old people. Old people. She just loves old people. She loves to, and she became a singer. And she would work with hospice. And she would sing chants from the soul to help people transition. You see, there is something for everyone. And it is only a matter of using your own gifts, using your own thoughts, your own feelings to accommodate you. It is quite simple, dearest. We think our minds have to make it much more complicated. We have to think, well, I have to do this and this and this and this. No. What do you love? And then take the next step. And then see how it can be done. And then take the next step after that. And then take the next step after that. When the universe says yes to you, dearest beings of light, we ask you to say yes back. As you understand, when you say yes back, you are indeed saying yes to all that you encounter. And as you say yes, you can celebrate that. You know, yes can actually mean yowza in energy, enthusiastic, and success. You see, that frequency of yowza or yeehaw, yes, enthusiasm, yes, equals success. All you have to do is take the next step. We know we've been telling you this for a very long time. We know we have given you many examples. We know we have given you many stories, so get it. Please. Take your next step. That is so important to the evolution of this planet. As our dear friend Kryon says, you are a magnificent being of light. You are magnificent, and all you have to do is show up and say hello. You don't even have to say hello, and you can be magnificent. And if you're not sure which area to say hello to, you can indeed take the scenic route. Do what the vessel Marilyn did and say hello to every possible career possible until she alighted on one that fit. That is the scenic route, and it was a beautiful one. Or you can take the direct route. Say, this is what I'm choosing. That is the joys route. This is what I'm choosing, and there's a straight line between there and there. Yes? Understand Many of you know what we're going to say next. There is nothing new in the universe. Understand that everything is possible. And the only difference between that which is possible and that which seems impossible is right here, in between your fingers or your ears, although that is a little lower. It could be in between many different spots up there, or it is here in your heart. Because someone at some point convinced you that everything was not possible. Well, are you ready to let that one go? We know you are. We see you nodding your heads. And you think, how can we see you when we are in Branson, Missouri, in this Master Randy Luna studio? And how can we see you? Well, everything is possible, dearest, and we see you, and we see you, and we see you, we see you, and we see you, and all of your guides. And they're all saying, yes, yes, tell them, let it go. You see, dearest, you are loved so much that the universe, source, God, is supporting your every desire. Every desire. So when you are accommodating that desire in a way that you really are not choosing, ask yourself why. What are you getting out of that accommodation? What are you receiving from that negative programming? And then flip it to the positivity of the universe and say, oh, I am shifting that reality. I am shifting my reality. And when I shift my reality, every reality around me begins to rearrange itself and accommodate and say yes, and rearrange itself and accommodate and say yes, and rearrange itself and accommodate and say yes. And before long, everything is perfect, just as you say it is, because it always was perfect. Always is perfect. And you, in your truth and unlimited, infinite expansion, are also perfect. Dearest beings of light, we love you so much. We see you. We know you. And tomorrow we will give you another example of how to find your purpose, if you do not know it already. Because we love you so much. And we hold you in that infinite love. Namaste. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. If you could imagine what it would be like on the other side of the veil with the incredible love for you at this moment when you allow this kind of message, there is even more. Because in that allowance, you have intent to hear. Intent to hear perhaps that which you need, but more than that, to experience things. It takes this intent, dear ones, for anything truly to be cognized by your consciousness. If you have come just to sit in the energy, it's one thing. But so many have come to actually cognize, that is to have an experience that goes beyond just sitting in the energy. There is an awakening going on. It's the best words that we can have. And if you take a look at what that truly means in your language of awakening, it means that you're actually in a different form of reality, that is sleep. And you know about sleep. To awaken from sleep is to come then back from a time where you would necessarily not be in the full reality. So you go from a slumber where perhaps you're having visions and dreams, and then you come back to a reality that you're used to. The metaphor of the awakening is just like that. You're about to have an awakening from what I can just describe as a slumbering sleep of old reality. It's a slumbering sleep of old energy that you thought was reality. People have always asked, well, is this really a dream, and are we going to wake up someday? You might say so. Your awakening is to a higher level of reality. You might even say it's a multidimensional shift, or just simply a shift of dimensions. You're going from what you thought was real into a higher reality. There'll be an aha experience to so many. An awakening to a higher level of truth, to a higher level of reality. This morning we talked about your heritage. Your heritage is that of divinity, period. That's who you are. You come in divine, and from that area and from that moment and from that place and from that dimension, if you want to call it, from the beginning, you are divine. And what happens next is truly what happens in the training that you get from your parents. As you awaken into this planet, what is happening? What is the energy? What are you taught? And that's free choice. But there's more. There's a lot more. What makes the difference between a human who comes in the same family and awakens differently than another? Two brothers or two sisters, or a brother and sister, and vastly different. And they're receiving the same message. Then we get into what we've told you before. How many lifetimes have you had? What have you learned? What's in your Akash that might then temper what you do next? It's complicated. But let me give you a premise. I told you of your heritage. Every one of you, divine. But the age of how long you've been on this planet often determines your awakening. I want you to imagine that each one of you has a package of seeds when you're born. This is a metaphor, dear ones. The seeds is a metaphor for an implanted information that is encapsulated until it's watered. Like seeds. And as you grow, and as you go through lifetime after lifetime, your experience on the planet is starting to water the seeds. And so the old soul, the one who has been here over and over, has the most seeds that have been watered, and they start to then come alive. And what's in those seeds, dear ones, is the potential of so many things. One of them is the ability to awaken into a new reality completely. And that is why we're doing the Circle of 12. It is the beginning of the final watering of so many seeds of the old soul. But this is all by free choice. Although difficult for you to understand, you could have all of those seeds and you could water them with past life after past life and all the information, all the experience, and yet you might show up on the planet and choose to ignore the seeds completely, even the watered ones. And that then creates a human being who's often in denial of their own magnificence. They've watered the seeds for lifetime after lifetime. They come in this time and they say, I don't think so. That is classic free choice. That's also what we have defined in the past as the closet light worker. Some of you are married to closet light workers, both genders. And you saw them for their magnificence and you fell in love with them because of who they are. And you have perhaps gone on a tangent, you might call it, to others would say, of being spiritual or believing these things that I speak of now. And the other one will say, well, I don't think so, it's not for me. It is for them, but not now. But they have it in their seeds as well. This is the free choice of any human being, to water or not to water. But now I want to add the big one to you. This system of awakening has been with you all of your lifetimes. And that's why spiritual growth has been available for eons. And that's why many will see that which others don't and will go into avenues of meditation, of channeling, of doing kinds of things that perhaps are not mainstream because they're awakening into higher truths. It's been with you for a very long time. But suddenly, you've passed the marker. What do you think of what's going on the planet right now? What decisions are you having to make? Have you noticed that one of the biggest things you've had to do is to water the seed of self-worth? Have you noticed that one of the seeds, old soul, that you're having to water right now is the one where you're able to step out of fear? At every juncture right now, you are being barraged with those who are saying the sky is falling. There is the pandemic. There is more. There is the astrology of the day. There is more. There is fear about this. There is fear about that. And it gets worse, you say. Have you ever had a time on the planet where you're presented by so much fear, potential fear, and those around you who are fearing? Have you ever been in a time where those who are supposed to present to you that which is happening on the planet, your media, your news, has tried to make it worse for you? How do you like it so far? This is the time of decision, dear ones, to either accept an old energy of anxiety and fear, or to step out of it completely with your magnificence and stand tall and say to the others, this is a reboot and you're going to see what's going to happen next. And they will literally beat you up in their conversations and saying, no, it's this, it's that. Have you heard about this? Did you know this was going to happen? Did you hear that channeling? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? And it's all black with fear. And then they say, well, if you don't believe those channelers and those people who say it's the end of the planet, just listen to the news. And they're right. Just listen to the news, because they'll enforce it for you. Here's what I say to those who will say that. Talk to me in a year or two. And then let's reconnoiter. Let's see what has happened. And you can see, what were you afraid of? Were you afraid maybe that this planet is in a pruning? A time when the things you don't need are being released, the ugly things are starting to come up for you to look at. Were you aware that might even include your economy or your leadership? On and on. This is the time where those things are going to show themselves, and you're going to say, I want this, I don't want this, I want this, I don't want this, because of what happened in 2012. I'll tell you, the sprinklers came on, and all of you are being watered, and all of those seeds that were dormant and sitting there and waiting for this time, since the creation of your soul on this planet, they've all been there, but a few of them have been held aside in case you made it past 2012. Kryon, I don't understand anything you're saying. What's all this about seeds and watering? And sometimes you're going to have to listen to these channels many times to understand the many metaphors we use. Let me be succinct. You are waking up in a different way, to a different energy, in a different dimensional paradigm. That's what's going on. Or did you not notice it? You think everything is normal. You've been asleep for months then. Things are changing, and they're changing in a way that is going to restructure everything. You will come out of this. You'll get through this year. You'll get through all of the astrology attributes. You're going to get through the fear and the things that might have happened or not happened. And you start to see things coming back. But they come back more powerful, more succinct, better. Even that which you would call the relationships between you and your children, you and your partners, you and your colleagues are changing. Did you notice? There are some that are dropping away suddenly, and there are some that are getting a lot closer suddenly. You think all this is a coincidence? Or is there something happening with the energy of this planet that's creating a different kind of thinking? There are things that are going to happen within 2 years, dear ones, with nation to nation, that you didn't expect. When some of the secrets that have always been there start to be revealed, of appropriate things and inappropriate things, it'll change your view of the planet, of each other. What if you started not to think about nation to nation? Instead, you think human to human. What if the connections that you have now through your technology start to build a firmer base of a collaboration from human to human, compassion from human to human, and not leadership to leadership? Up to this point, you've been told how to treat other countries because they say this or that, or they pass this law or that law. And suddenly, that may actually be much less of an influence. And instead, the major influence is you talking to the people in other countries without a language barrier even. That's coming as well, more than you know. What happens when the world can talk to the world? I'll tell you what happens. The leadership gets frightened because you're starting to see things that they didn't want you to see. And that is when things really start to change. You start to eliminate that which is no longer appropriate on the planet. And that's just about everything around you. There'll come a day when you will take the media to task and say, don't frighten us anymore. Give us the news which is good and bad at the same time. If there's bad news, give it to what's going on the planet, and then tell us the other side of the story, not just one. We want to tune in. We want our hearts blessed at the same time we get the information we should have. so that we can feel for the others, so we can solve problems and get a real story and not a spin that's been put on it to frighten us. That's coming. You're about to open a package of consciousness where many things are going to be revealed to you in a whole different light. Like the light has turned on, and you're going, I didn't realize that this was this way. I didn't realize this was this way. Look, we can solve some things here or there. The seeds are being watered, and when they start to blossom, dear ones, you see the tree of life. That tree of life is a coherence with the rest of the planet, a coherence between human to human, where things start to be far more logical to you in that which is compassion. There'll come a time when the planet will not fear as much as it does today. All of these things I am talking about are awakening the seeds that you've always had, should you make it past that place, if you want to call it that, paradigm changing area, if you want to talk about it that way, which is the difference between the old and the new energy. It's more than just a time. It's more than just a demarcation of the precession of the equinoxes in 2012. It's more than just a change of calendars for the Maya. You've gone across a bridge from an old to a new energy, which has the potential of changing everything on this planet. And right now, the difficulty is that when you change these kinds of things, and this quickly, there's so much that looks black. But old soul, especially the ones who are hearing this, that's why you're here. You're here to shine. You're here to help those around you to see your continence and your lack of fear, perhaps even your joy, as you stand tall and say, we have expected good things for a long time. Let's get through this so that the sun can come out and we can get on with what we came for. Do you understand that the change of seasons often brings the trees to a standstill? The skies get dark and the leaves fall off and it gets cold and dangerous unless you cover up. And that's where you are right now. You're in a kind of winter on this planet. I'll call it the winter of consciousness. Before the sun comes out and the birds begin to sing and you start to see what was always there. But the colors that come back on the trees you've never seen before. The songs of the birds, you've never heard that before. And the sun comes out, and when it does, it shines brighter than it ever has before. This is the winter that we told you about, that will absolutely change everything. That winter is when things start to show themselves that are ugly. That's where you are, dear ones. For those of you who understand what I'm saying, take a breath and understand this. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Those seeds are starting to awaken. And here comes something that was implanted in you a long time ago. The implantation of divinity. That is your heritage. Here it comes. Maturity, compassion, understanding, peace, healing, longer life. That's the tree that's growing right now in you. Kryon, I hope you're right. Talk to me in a year or two, and we'll see. Things are changing on this planet far differently than you ever thought. And you are right in the middle of it, by design, dear one. By design. A design of love. I'll be back tomorrow. And so it is.
And so it is. Good day to you. We are here. Some of you know us, some of you do not. We are Aronda. And we bring with us an entire council of light just to reflect your light. You see, dearest ones, you are the reason we came here from the 17th dimension. We have many who ask about us, many who don't understand, and our message is always allow the new energy within you to be present. We are an activator of your Akash, dearest. We work deeply in your emotional body, and we honor you for your work, your plurk, as we like to say, because we believe everything should be play plus work, which equals plurk. You see, beings of light, your work, your plurk, if you think of it as work, it's just not quite enough. It's just not quite the energy of it. That this is the play of the dolphins, beings. This is the play of the whales. This is the play of your soul who has decided to come back here, to arrive. Our vessel Marilyn has met and sat with the Guru Deva. He recognized her as the Lemurian that she is. He recognized her and brought us through with that energy. You see, dearest, you never know quite where the next moment is going to happen. You never know quite when the next activity is going to ignite within your soul. So we are playing in your heart chakras. We are acknowledging, as our dear divine Kalei acknowledges, the magnificence that is within you. Yet we ask you to wonder why you think of yourself as so small sometimes. You are not. You are who you are back here to assist in the shift of this planet. We are here to remind you of who you are. That brilliance, that light, that eminence of joy, of love. We are here to hold you always in that heart of unconditional love that only the great masters can share with you. You see, dearest, we see into your soul. And even if we just said nothing, the activation of your Akash would still be expanded. From your soul to theirs. From our soul to yours, from your soul to ours. It's a soul-to-soul connection. Huh? You see, with that energy, all is possible. With that vibration and that frequency, all is possible as the mountains rise up from the earth to come again as Lemuria rises. You see, you are a part of that earth. The message for our vessel Marilyn yesterday from Pele was never let anyone else define you.
And of course, being our vessel Marilyn, she argued, she said, can't you move that to the positive? Always define yourself. And Pele spoke to her heart just as she spoke to yours. And you were gifted with a part of her energy to bring into your home. That is rare. You see, you are dropping your energy everywhere around this planet. Everywhere where the magnificence of the notes are playing with the DNA in your body. That vibration shifts your consciousness to be you. And we charge you with being the love that you are. We acknowledge you with living that love, to know that there could be more, there could be less, but it is all in its divine perfection. You got the call to be here. The universe tapped on your shoulder, tapped on your aura to bring that activation here. And for some, it was such a huge activation that you sort of lost your balance once you arrived and had to anchor it again in the soul of your universal wisdom. With that energy, we want you to breathe into the soul of your universal Akash. It is not so important about who you were or what you did or how many blah blah blahs that you ever had. We don't care. The important thing is that you acknowledge that remembrance of your magnificence. That you acknowledge that remembrance of the love that is interactive within you. That you remember who you are and then be who you are now. As we work with as we plurk with our selenite swords of light to activate all that is within you, you set the intention to remove whatever you would like to integrate so it is no longer in charge, and activate all that is within you that is destined to be activated for your next step, for your next connection, for your next interaction, for your next sweetheart, for your next partner, for your next love, for yourself. That is who you are. That is what we are here to do, to say, to be, to have, and to hold in your emotional body. Because we believe that is where the change happens first, just as in the center of the earth. That change bubbles forth from the core. And we are going to be bubbling up just for you. So we honor that. We hold that energy. And we bring our selenite swords of light, although airport security calls them wands, to activate you and your Akash and whatever is in your highest good to be activated.
Beloved ones, we greet thee. 'Tis Al-Qazar. Listen to these sounds. these sounds were created by this master here. For the Stargate. We invite you all to close the eyes. For as we all talk to you, we are sharing far more than words, than information. There is an energy transmission coming through these four on the stage. Relax and allow. You are all totally unique, and each one of you will be touched in your own unique way by these energies and by these words. You have been drawn here to this gathering for different reasons. Many remember or feel that you have been here in ancient times, in the times of Lemuria. What is important is the now. What is important is how you allow your own divinity, your own sacredness to be lived in your daily life. You have heard how the Pleiadians prepared this beautiful earth for you. You have heard Kryon say that you were there watching the process even as the earth herself was born. So who are you? You are not this body that you are seated in right now. Who are you? Beloveds, you are all, without exception, extraterrestrials. You have lived elsewhere before you came to this earth. This is a beautiful experience, experiment of the evolution of this very universe. We have said many times, humanity is on the leading edge of creation. Hard for the mind to accept at first if you look at your world right now. But if you look at those who are gathered here with you and those like yourselves in the hundreds of thousands around the world who are opening to the vastness of your potential, you can begin to feel transformation is already happening within self and within humanity. You have heard from Kryon that the darkness is struggling to survive, but will not. And this is something we all are beginning to recognize. It is about living your truth in the moment, being your true self as you move around in your daily life. We introduce to you the Lemurian masters, and we would like right now for each one of you just to invite them once more to come and join this gathering. So please, just asking inside for the presence of the Lemurian masters. And just allow for the possibility that simply by your asking, they respond. When they joined you 2 days ago, they sent a transmission to each one of you, a unique transmission just for you. They are now going to bring another energetic into this room. Some of you may feel it in a few moments. It is going to start right now. And as before, almost imperceptible in the beginning. This transmission is to bring you support, courage to live that which you know, to allow that inner knowing to come forth in the appropriate moments. The courage to live your truth in a respectful, honoring way of all those around you, whenever and wherever you are. You are vast beings. You are slowly beginning to grasp this. You have lived elsewhere before you came to this earth. You have always been. Hard for the human mind initially to accept. But as you connect more and more to your higher dimensional DNA, your Akash, feelings, memories start to return. Beloved ones, it is time to know who you truly are. Humanity, when you arrived here, came into frequencies of beauty and joy, and through the generations moved into the darkness of conflict, negativity, hard to understand, but it was meant to be. And now, after this turmoil, after these trials, you are reawakening. You here gathered and those hearing these words through recordings are on the leading edge of awakening. Know this. So many have lived very difficult lives. Why? Because, beloveds, when you came into this lifetime, you agreed to have a struggle, to be repressed in different ways, to experience difficulties, because you knew as an advanced soul you could live through these struggles, these difficulties, these abuses. And then, as your awareness and understanding grew, you could let them go. Their influence would dissolve, disappear from your life. And as you became free of those things in the past, you would be creating more light, more love, more understanding for yourself. And then, simply by your connection to the morphic field of humanity, you will be radiating this understanding, transforming one dark line through your lineage, dissolving it into light and understanding, helping others, making transformation easier for those who follow behind you. Beloved ones, you are greatly honored for the struggle, the strife, not just in this lifetime, but allow it to complete in this lifetime. No need to carry the pain any further than now. As you know, there are many, many here in this gathering unseen who love you greatly. There are the guides from all kinds of realms who are here with you right now, who love you and are available in this moment to assist you dissolve some of the final attachments to the pains and limitations from the past. If you would like assistance in this, in becoming free of limitations known and maybe still unknown, just say inside, yes, I am ready. I am ready to receive that assistance. And relax. And feel a gentle, loving energy coming to you. Don't expect a tidal wave. Just feel a subtle energy coming to you. Understand, as you raise your consciousness, as you become more aware, there's no need for strong energies. Subtle energies are incredibly powerful, transformational. So relax and tune in to the very subtle energy that is coming to you now. For beloved ones, we are with you. It is time to be free. We will be silent just for a few moments. Just feel the subtle energies around you. You have come from around the universe to this place to create something that has never occurred before in the whole of this universe. It is time to remember why you came. In great love and honoring, we bless thee. And we will talk to you again very soon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. You realize the information that is being given by all of these who are touching the other side of the veil. The information is starting to be personal. 2 days ago, I gave you history. We presented a channel that literally needed the Akash from the humans that were sitting next to me, pulling upon them as well as the information from the past. If the channel sounded a bit different, it was. For it was channeled from 3 places. From the Akash of those around me, and that which I have for you from the past. This is not the way of new channeling. This is the way of intuition. That as you start to expand, information that you are going to glean from what you believe is your higher self is also going to come from a collective. It's time to stop being so linear in your spirituality. My partner mentioned the culture of oneness. And from birth they learn that they are not singular, that they are connected. And all of their lives, the connection is with one another, with Gaia, with God. Oneness is a description, not of selflessness, but of self-fulfillment. When you realize that you're not alone, and you never were alone, and you never will be alone. Dear ones, I want to talk just a little more about the Star Mothers. Just a little more. And then I want to pull it to something personal for you. Lemurian children all knew who the Star Mothers were. It wasn't hard to tell. Humanity, as you know it, is quite a bit taller than it used to be. It has to come from knowledge, nutrition, evolution, numbers of things. Lemurians were not all that tall either. But the Pleiadians, well, now they are taller than you are. In their physical form, they are taller than you are. So now you can imagine how tall they seemed to the children. It was no secret who they were. Star mothers. And when the star mothers started teaching the 5 spokes around the great central hub, I told you 2 days ago about how this information started simply and then would expand. And I gave you the names that were memorized of the 5 spokes around the hub. Some of you have put this together, and I didn't mention it then. I wanted to wait till now. What do you think the advanced information would be? What would come after years of teaching to the children to the age of 13, where they would split in, then be taught in genders? The beginning, if you want to say, of the sisterhood. What could come after that that hadn't been taught in all those years? And this is where it gets good. Because then the teaching turned to the 6 spaces around the 5 spokes. I'm not going to go through a lineage of what the 6 are, dear ones. Someday I will. The children didn't learn their names. The children had no awareness of the spaces. The children only saw the physical, the 5. The children only saw the hub. And until the age 13, they concentrated on the 5, the circumference, the hub, the oneness, never understanding that the real teaching were the 6 spaces. Because, dear ones, here is a basic truth. Everything you see, everything you feel, everything you believe is real, is a tiny fraction of what is there. And in the spaces between the spokes are the truths of God, of the universe, of physics, of the human body, of compassion, of love. They started out being shown and taught that what you see is not all that is there. So many of you know this. You think you see fine with your eyes until you realize you're only seeing one wavelength. You think you're feeling everything and smelling what you can until you realize that an animal can do it 100 times better than you. There is so much that is unseen and unknown that your senses are not even tuned for. Who among you regularly can see and analyze a human Merkaba? Right now, as I speak, there is an invisible energy that is new, that is pouring from Stargate. It's invisible. There is so much in the spaces. So much. One of the spaces I'll give away, and that is the secret to health. Not to long life, because that is one of the spokes. The secret to health. And that you meet innate. Innate is invisible. Innate is the smart body. Innate is tuned to the pineal, to the higher self, to the oneness. Innate is the bridge from 3 dimensions to many. That's in the cracks, in the spaces between the spokes. And then you get to the ones that are so precious, so divine, so sacred. You start to learn about love. You all know about love, don't you? And if I could ask you, what is the main thing that you could say about love of any kind on this planet? Love between humans, the love of God, the love of you and your infant, the love of you and an animal. What is it? And you'll say, it's thick. I can feel it. And I would say, what does it look like? And you would say, well, it's invisible. But all of you know what it is. You sense it, you feel it, you count on it, you desire it, you crave it, you bathe in it. When you hug the tree, you feel the love of Gaia. Perhaps when you stand outside with your arms raised to the ocean, you feel the love of those around you, or perhaps your ancestors, and Gaia. And it's all invisible. It's one of the spaces between the spokes. So let's stay there for a moment. The biggest unseen thing that humanity has not recognized is the reason why you're here. Oh, I chuckle because it's so big and it's so grand and it hides. The love of the Creator has no bounds, cannot be measured, cannot be understood. So often it is seen as something else. Incredible love is seen as discipline somehow because that's all your brain is allowed to do. Sometimes the Creator wrongly is then attributed to the human father. It's not that way. It isn't. It's the human mother and father. You cannot genericize God. It is enormous, it is huge, and it waits on the outside of each human Merkaba. It waits to be invited in. That is the definition of free choice. If you could define the shift on this planet differently and leave out the history, the prophecies, all of the stars, what would you call it? Let me give you another definition. It's the enhancement of free choice of the human being to finally open the door to the love of God. Now, as you sit there, not the ones listening to my voice necessarily, but the ones who are on the mountaintop of Hawaii, as you sit and know of the history here and all the things around you, are you aware of a new opening? Perhaps of new energies that you really didn't know of before. Those teachers in the audience, listen. One of the hardest things for a teacher to do is to give a reading for themselves. It's almost impossible. So let me give you one. Get out of your box. You think you know what's here, and you don't. Repaint it. Give it another color. Expand it. Let it go. Now don't mishear this. You're going to use everything you know and have known as the foundation for a new building that's coming. The foundation is the core that you've learned in the old energy, and the building that you're building is going to be the ones that are in the spaces between the spokes. The invisible, the compassion, the love, the reasons, the whys. why you're here is because of the love of God. This is the greatest love story ever told. That the Creator would put God in you and let you find it. Free choice is needed. We've told you this before. The Creator of all things, the highest of the high, is biased in love, not in logic. Therefore, sometimes it needs human beings and the intellect and free choice to steer a ship of linearity for the galaxy that couldn't necessarily be steered with a biased God of love. Think about that one. This is difficult, advanced information of why you may be here. The planet has awakened. There are so many new energies, not just enhanced one, not just more light, but new light and new energies yet to be named that are here, that are waiting, that are coming, that used to be taught right here. Now, as you sit here, all of you, can you go into a new energy that has no name? One that would not only heal the things that you came with that are inappropriate for your magnificence, but also give you the peace that you have been asking for a lifetime. This is the place where it starts. The seeds are planted here for humanity. They are planted here today for you. What seed could be planted where you would leave these mountaintops differently than you came? Seeds of newness that will start to grow, that you will feel, not only with more energy and more health, but feeling better about yourselves. Instead of what you carry now. Some of you literally exist from day to day. Let me tell you, I know who's here. Do you? I know you. It's time for you to know God better in new ways. Expand what you were taught by anyone to now include what you don't know. Here's the test of a mature light worker. Celebrate what you don't know. And you can do it. Dear God, I feel something is here, something is coming. I have no idea what it is. Thank you. Dear God, I am comfortable that I'll be shown when it's time. Thank you for your timing. Dear God, I know in the past that I pushed and I've asked again, and then I've asked again. Let now we expand past the bubble of need to know and go in new energies that we don't know of yet, that will flow through me and create a conduit for others to see oneness through me, oneness through me. I'm going to do something I've never done before, because it's time and it's right. And I ask the forgiveness of the two on the stage as I do it. Because I'm going to tell both of them something that they cannot tell themselves. Because a human being, even a channeler, cannot read themselves. Oh, dear Pragit, you've sensed it coming. I know you have. There's something new coming. I said it. Out of Stargate pours something new, something very new, something enhanced. Alcazar is birthing another entity for you to channel that is great and loving and beautiful. And when that entity comes to both you and Julianne, it will then enhance your work greatly. You felt it. You will name it, sir. And the one next to me, oh dear Marilyn, There's a woman sitting on your lap, dear, who wants to get through to you. Recently deceased, and you know who I'm talking about. And she is so proud of you. Her eyes are open. She's beautiful, like you remember. She's on your lap. Let her in. And so it is.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. And so the man sits in the chair, as he has done for over 20 years. And the humans in the audience have an opportunity, with free choice, to believe or not believe. And there are those who won't. And they'll say it sounds just like the man. His corporeal body remains identical to the 3D seer. Some will say it's a trick, it's a fake, and walk away unchanged and convinced that these things are not for them, a circus show. And right next to them will be somebody who not only sees the change in the corporeal body, but is in the process of healing themselves accordingly through an entangled state with spirit, and will walk out of the room with years in their life extended. And that is the difference. Channeling is a portal. Call it a portable portal. A portal that moves around with the higher self of the individual who chooses to open it. We have discussed the old souls on this planet. Those who are beginning to strike the match and hold it high. Those who are changing themselves. And they are also many portals, portable, walking around. And wherever they go, there are differences. And when they assemble, there are differences. And when then they split up to go to their places, there are massive changes around them. Like lighthouses on the rock, they make differences in their lives, in their families, in their workplaces. And all of that is a mystery to those who are not ready. There are so many interesting things that we could tell you about old souls, but we will say right now to this group in this room that the majority of you who sit here are old souls. Now that is defined as those human beings who have been on the planet lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, at least 1,000 years, some of you 10,000 and more. And we have made announcements about some of the attributes that old souls have. And I'll say it again so that you would hear it in this short message. Announcement number 1. I know who you are and I know what you've been through, and I don't mean this lifetime, although I know that as well. Spirit sits in your lap when you sit down. Spirit stands next to you when you stand up. Spirit runs beside you when you quicken. Spirit is in the vehicle when you travel. You're never alone. There is a group that you would call guide sets, whatever you want to name them, and you won't be right. Or multidimensional beings, some of them part of you, that always are there. And the energy of the Gaia grid on this planet is changing so greatly that the veil starts to lift, and those entities around you are able to now get to you easier, should you choose to look. And if you begin the process of asking, is there more? Can I really do this? Does this work, dear ones? This is the energy you have waited for it begins now. And your entire life you have swam upstream, light worker, and we know it. You've been beat up, and we know it. You've been cast out, and we know it. Some of your family members. I know who's here. And the disappointment on both sides. That your own family would turn their back on you, and we know who's here. Sometimes the love of the mother is absolute, but it's dichotomous with the love of her God. I know who's here. And if you go back a few lifetimes and a few hundred years, there are those of you who awakened with the knowledge you have today, the what if God was inside knowledge, and you were seen as a cult, cast out of the village, some of you burned at the stake. I know this. And you come into this lifetime expecting more of that, don't you? Well, some of you got a little of it. And what is the result of that? I will tell you. Light workers are timid. They don't have a lot of self-worth either. Because human beings tend to walk around them. Because they are unusual. And what if I told you, dear one, that is going to change? Oh, they're not going to accept the new age. It doesn't have the structure they like. There's no buildings, there's no rule set, there is no doctrine for them, there's no prophet. No, what they're going to do is accept you. When the masters walked the earth, what attributes did they have? Did they have a doctrine? No, they didn't. They only had themselves. And they taught about the love of God. There are stories that even the animals followed them around. Could they have had a field that was compassionate, so much so that when humans stepped into it, they felt better? They felt safe? And the answer is yes. And that is what's happening to you. That someone would step into your home or into your field or next to you at work. Even your children and their children will know. You're a better person. Something's changed. You're more comfortable. You're easy. You're safe. There's no judgment. You listen to them. There's only love. There's only compassion. There are no instructions. All you do is sit and be. And with other humans get in trouble and they have drama, they may be sitting in a chair next to you where you work and experience the same issues that you do, only you don't react and they do. And eventually they're going to turn to you and say, how do you do it? How do you stay even? How do you center in your core? How do you stay compassionate and loving? When there's just idiots all around us. You see, I know who's here. And it's a good question, is it not? Be ready to answer it. And you don't have to give them a Kryon book. Tell them about you. Here's what I've discovered. I think that God is inside us. And I have claimed that. And it's made a big difference. And now I'm going to live longer. I'm relaxing. I don't have anxiety. My blood pressure is down. Because I know I'm loved. And all these things around me don't touch me anymore. Are you beginning to feel what's in this room, dear ones? Could this be real? Have you come in doubt? What if this was real? Channeling has always been on the planet. There are no words of God on the planet. Scriptures were not written by God. They were written by humans. Think about it. Some of them sitting in a chair, like this one with a pen in their hand instead of a microphone. And the words that they would scribe on parchment became the Holy Scriptures. That's channeling. Anointed as they were with the spirit of a mini portal to the higher self, giving informations of love from source. It was seen by human beings as divine, as beautiful, as real, and published accordingly. This is not new. There's even a chair in the Vatican, a relic, where something happens called ex cathedra. And the Pope sits there and everything he says is infallible. Even the Pope knows there must be a connection to source. For there is new information. Even the Pope knows. Religions who say you cannot talk to God, even they know that at least one of them must. Known by humanity, it is in so many different forms. Channeling. Not only appropriate, divine, blessed. And you're going to see more of it. And it's not going to be like this. One to many. You're going to start seeing it one to one. When the higher self of you starts to open and you start getting the thoughts that you say are intuitive, you're making them up, and you start to understand this is the communication you've asked for. Don't throw away that which is intuitive. Put it instead in a sacred place and look at it. Don't put a clock on it. Don't give instructions and then manifest immediately. Get instructions and put them and wait for the synchronicity that manifests them by itself. All of these things we have taught in the past. Meanwhile, the doubter sits. Could it be real? So I have an invitation for those who are here perhaps for the first time and are wondering if it's the man or if it's Kryon. You're not going to know as long as the shield is there. If the shield of doubt is there, if the layers of cynicism are there, you'll always be in 3D and it will always be a fake. And so I'm going to ask you to remove the shield for the day. And before you get up from the chair tonight, you can put it all back. But only for a few hours, perhaps you would be open to things that you not normally are open to. For there's no dark energy here which will be transmitted to you. The love of God does not work in that fashion. You're open to sense energies for the first time, and you ask the question, dear God, show me. For if this is real, I need to know it. And then with your free choice, you may move on your way. Perhaps we have planted a seed that will grow, a seed that is hope, beyond what you thought might be possible with a human being. I tell you, humanity is starting to capture it all by themselves, to feel the Creator inside, to adjust, to become softer. You're going to see battles that are odd. The dark energy thrashing against itself. You're going to see dark energy organizations begin to try to apply themselves, to start up, only to have the public say, we're not interested. You're going to see terrorist groups start to try to incorporate yet again and recruit, and you're going to find their population saying, I'm not interested. And it'll be shocking. For the very paradigm that created them in the first place will change. And they're going to start to see that which is the true creative energy. The compassionate mother and the love of God, which abhors war. We would not say these things if they were not so. Take these things in. Use your spiritual logic and make up your minds. I'll be back. And so it is.
Quite a day, huh? The energy in the room is so very different than 12 o'clock. So, come on home to your body now. Take a few deep breaths with me. Inhale. Exhale. And again. And this time, inhale, I, and exhale, am. And you could just do that silently a few times. Inhale, I am. And just let your body gather itself into your skin. Let your eyes soften. Your shoulders, your physical connect to your spiritual. And allow your awareness, like a lighthouse beacon, to just touch other lights around you in passing and say hello. And feel the vibration of the lights that each of you are, each individual, yet each is light. Your signature, your soul essence. And as you open to receive the love and the guidance of the Kryon energy, let it be from that place of essence and light.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. It is a safe place. A place where there are no energies that would be inappropriate that would come before you. Every single human in the room is known. And there is an attitude of spirit that presents itself to the individual. An attitude of thanks. An attitude of love. My partner sits on a stage so that in 3 dimensions you may see him. Spirit is not on a stage. Spirit is with you. And so the words that I have this day are being spoken within you, simultaneous with those pieces and the parts of you which are quantum. And it's personal, all of it. The information this evening will be that which is informative, and tomorrow, energetic. And so this is about the way things work. This is about energies and information and physics, and all for you. But before we begin, we say this: have you figured out yet why we're even here? Over 20 years ago, my partner sat in a chair and asked this question: what for? Why me? why now? And we put before him the same thing I will put before you. Old souls are on this planet on purpose as a family. There is no accident that you are here. You sit in the chair today, some of you only recently realizing you were coming to the meeting. I know who's here. Perhaps to feel the energy of this day and this evening, and perhaps even tomorrow. And perhaps for the first time you will feel as part of this collective. Less individual and more part of the plan of why you agreed to be here. Even your parents agreed with you before they came in to allow for you to be born. Your agreement with them was not to be appreciated, liked, even loved. It was to be born. And on the other side of the veil, they knew it and you knew it, and you're here because of it. They knew that it was not their time, but it would be yours. They saw the potentials just as Spirit did of what might take place in 2012, and you're here as proof. The plan is bigger than you think. I would like to talk about grids. I'm going to give you a channel, not an endurance channel, one that is about the 3 grids. It's not a summary, for there's always new information, but it's the first time we put these things together in this way for an entire channeling session. I want to explain them to you. I want you to think about them. I want you to start putting together these things and understanding everything around you exists for you. You don't walk around surviving as a victim in a world that is filled with other victims, at the beck and the call of nature and the forces of politics. That's not who you are. You're the chosen ones. The ones we knew who would come here, old soul, and start planting the seeds of light and those things called nature and politics. Oh, you live with them, but you're not really part of them. Well, they're in 3D and they are part of the culture that you live in and perhaps the world that you think you are in. But all of them are 3D. And the grids are not. Let me introduce you to real reality. The bigger picture, the things that are invisible, the things you cannot see but are there energetically. We spoke of 3 grids on the planet. There are more, but the 3 major ones that we teach about. The magnetic grid, this was the first that you heard of. I am Kryon, the magnetic master. You'll learn today why. The second one we talked about was the crystalline grid. We explained what it did, why it was there. We're going to do more today. And the third grid is Gaia, the grid of life. And so I'm going to give them to you and explain them in ways you perhaps have not heard before. And we're going to start the last first. The grid which is Gaia, one of the 3. We use the 3 constantly, for this is a catalytic number. That is to say, it has energy beyond itself. When the catalyst, whether it is a number or a chemical, is combined with other numbers or chemicals, they become greater than the source. We have spoken of the third language. That means a language which is higher and above the one you're hearing in 3D. You'll see the 3s everywhere. Gaia, the crystalline, and the magnetics are 3 in 1. There is not one which is higher or lower than the other or takes precedent from the other. They exist in a soup. the three in one. But I take them apart for your examination, but I tell you they're interactive. You cannot separate them. One involves in the other, is entangled with the other. The Gaia grid is the grid of life. It is the Akash. Gaia holds the Akash inside her. Life holds the Akash inside it. Therefore, any life on Gaia has its own Akash record. Yours is in your DNA. It is also in a cave of creation, which is in Gaia. The grid of Gaia is all about life on the planet of all kinds. You might even say that Gaia is that which sees and is responsible for regulating that which is coming and going to the planet. You pass through the Gaia grid, coming and going. Gaia is the closest grid you have to you. It is the first thing that the indigenous see, worship, know about. The indigenous are overwhelmed with the study and the worship of their ancestors, with life. That's Gaia. They know about that which is directional, the east, the west, the south, the north. They have ceremonies, lines of influence. That's Gaia. They gave energy to the growth of the crops, life. That's Gaia. And so Gaia becomes the one that you see first. You may even call it Mother Nature. But upon Gaia, there are some other things that you should know. Interwoven in what we call the crystalline and the magnetics, there are portals. Energies which sit upon, seemingly, Gaia, for they're on the land. And you might say that they are a Gaia attribute. A portal here, a portal there. And in a moment I'll show you why they're not. They belong to another grid. Now let me tell you about the consciousness of Gaia. The actual consciousness of Gaia, alive, of the earth, is all about humanity. 4 billion years ago, if you ask Gaia, what is going on? Gaia would say, we're preparing for humans. 1 billion years ago, as the earth cools, and you would ask Gaia, what is going on? She would say, we're preparing for humans. 50 million years ago, if you ask Gaia, what is going on? She would say, it's imminent. They will be arriving shortly. A few thousand years ago, she would say, and now they're here. Again, I want to present a puzzle to you. It was Gaia who regulated the timing of humanity, responsible for when you showed up. I didn't say evolution, did I? How long ago was it that you had large mammals on the earth, and how many humans were around building cities at that time? Doesn't it seem odd to you that it took 4 billion years for you to arrive? Could it be that there was a grander plan and that Gaia knew something, being connected as she is to Spirit? And the answer is yes. Could it be that humanity is the new kid on the block in the universe? And the answer is yes. With the age of the universe and the age of your galaxy, did it ever occur to you that there might be civilizations as grand as yours, as intelligent as yours, that are millions of years old? There should be, and there is. You were delayed on purpose. Did you know that there were at least 4 starts of life on the planet? Gaia put them all to rest. The final one, it got photosynthesis. The other ones didn't. Talk to a biologist about this. All of these things should add up to the solving of a puzzle that would say, why now? Why did it take so long when the earth could have supported humanity millions of years ago? Why now? There were 2 reasons. The first was to let your solar system settle down. That is to say, all of the rocks that are flying around would finally find their orbits and stop plowing into you. Because that wouldn't serve humanity at all, any more than it served the dinosaurs. Do you see what I'm saying? The evolution of mankind was presented exactly when it should have been, and aligned exactly when the Pleiadians would visit. Ready you were, not too advanced, not too shallow, just right. And that was the second reason. For the planet has been seeded, and this day you look and you know why. The planet is in shifts. It's going to change, dear ones. 2 generations from now, you're going to look back, and something will occur to you. There hasn't been a world war. In fact, there hasn't been a big war of any kind. And you'll wonder what happened, and you'll be glad for it, but you won't have figured it out. Consciousness shift is at hand. We told you 20 years ago it would be. It's here. You're just beginning to see it. This earth is starting to repair itself. Slow it will be. Generations must come and go. Those who hate must leave. And they will. Through natural causes. Eventually replaced by those who will not hate. And sometimes that's the only solution. For there will be humans in groups who are very stubborn about this and will claim the old energy right to the end. Gaia. This is what Gaia has done for you. Orchestrated the timing of humanity. Put life on the planet for you to eat. Going through the cycle right now so that it will be refreshed so you can continue that. This is the one you see every day. Can you see it as alive? In your sleep, could you say, thank you, Gaia, for being with me, for loving me? And you'd be accurate and true. There is a consciousness of this planet. The ancestors knew it. You cannot ignore it. And it exists for you. The crystalline grid is the most difficult to explain. It is a metaphoric grid. You cannot see it. Now, you cannot see the Gaia grid either, but you can see Gaia. You can honor the plants, the trees, the animals, the oceans, the seas that are inland. You can marvel at the beauty. The crystalline sits there invisible doing its job, and it's profound. You can feel it, but you can't see it. We have said crystalline grid. This is a metaphor. What is it that you know about substances crystalline? The only rock, the part of the earth, which is Gaia, on the planet that can hold a vibration is crystal. So we have called this the crystalline grid so that you would have an inkling of what it does. It holds vibration. It does more than that. It remembers. Here's a system that I have talked about before, but perhaps not in this complexity. Everything you do, old soul, is recorded on the crystalline grid. It remembers your life. Every footstep is recorded. And it's a non-linear process. We spoke of this just recently in another continent. That is to say that the crystalline grid does not remember things equally. There are certain things it remembers with, shall we say, greater strength than not. There are battlefields close by. And you can go stand in them, and those of you who feel things will say, this was a place of death. Much happened here. Let me ask you, who are you talking to? It's the crystalline. Up to this point in your human existence, the crystalline grid has remembered that which is war, that which was healing, and that which was compassion in fairly equal ways. And you can go to places on the planet and feel the mother energy. That's the crystalline. Something happened there. You can go to places on the planet that are battlefields and feel that. On this crystalline area where you are now, there wasn't really much that happened. Only one civilization. Not much. It's fresher. If you go to Europe, you can stand where there are as many as 30 to 40 civilizations, battles, death in the millions. It's hard to channel there, dear ones. Ask my partner. Because the energy is not commensurate with a portal that opens as fully as it needs to for channeling. This is the crystalline at its best. What humans did, it remembers. Now I would like to tell you some things about the crystalline grid that we have not talked about much. Number one, if it's where human did things, that means most of the crystalline remembrance is on the land. Some things took place that were later covered by water, and these are felt still while on the water. But over 80% of all crystalline remembrances are on land. So you're not discovering a lot of portals on the water. Now you may have things you wonder about, such as the Bermuda Triangle, which is water. It has nothing to do with the crystalline grid. We haven't gotten there yet. That's magnetics. No, we are talking about what you feel when you stand in certain places, dear one, where the old soul resounds with the land. That's the crystalline that they're resounding with. We have told you that the crystalline grid is responsible for what you say are ghosts. And as proof of this, we tell you that you can interview someone who is passed over, because that which is their essence is still on the crystalline grid. If you have a seance and call on Aunt Martha, she'll be there. But only the Aunt Martha's tape plays. That is to say, that which was Aunt Martha on the earth stays, not where she is now. Let me give you an example. Aunt Martha, how are you? Fine. How are you? Fine. Aunt Martha, where's the treasure buried? 3 feet from the left of the oak tree. And she'll be right. Aunt Martha, what's it like on the other side of the veil? Fine, thank you. What's your day like over there? We love each other. Fine, thank you. You won't get any details because she's not there. Aunt Martha is only echoing what she was being taught by her church. You see what I'm saying? What is it the ghosts do? Over and over, they play a tape. Something happened in a house, they come down a stairway. It happens every night. And you go back and they come down a stairway. And you go back and they come down a stairway. The crystalline grid is the ultimate tape player. It'll play it and play it and play it. And where there were profundities, it'll play it stronger. So strong that you can actually measure it with magnetics, with temperature, because it's that real. It does not represent entities from the other side or entities who are trapped. It is simply a recording in energy. And some can see it happen repeatedly over and over. This is the crystalline. Now let me tell you what's happening. As the earth shifts its energy, as Gaia also shifts her energy, as the Kundalini moves southward, it recalibrates all the grids. Suddenly, this grid that was crystalline, that remembers things equally, will be nonlinear. And that is to say, suddenly the things that were, as you would say, darker, will not be as remembered keenly as the things which are lighter. Now, my partner, you didn't do a very good job with that, so I'm going to ask you to back up and try again. The crystalline grid is being aligned for compassion. Where there is compassion, there will be energy that everyone can feel. Where there is darkness and war and death, there will be less energy than ever before. You'll be able to walk over places that used to disturb you before, and the crystalline grid will be quiet. And you'll go to places where there were healings and it'll soar. Where there's appreciation for God and love, there will be portals. Even the smallest healing will be noticed grandly. The realignment of the grid is the alignment to the mother energy. We call it Mother Earth. It's about time it responded accordingly. So the remembrance factor of the physics of the crystalline is changing. And what that's going to do is that there's going to be less hatred remembrance to fuel the fires of those who sit in histories of hatred. It's not going to affect them as much. And the next generation in certain places on this earth are simply not going to feel it. And they're not going to cooperate anymore with hate and war. And the religious belief systems of this planet are going to soften. You're going to see, even in the West, a realignment of what you call Catholicism. Within 1 to 2 generations, this church will change. And the love of Christ will be paramount, as it should be. But the rules around the old energy will start to crumble. Church is not going away, dear ones. It doesn't have to go away, dear ones. Do not judge what you think is correct and not correct on this planet for any other human being but yourself. For some need the organization where they go and report in a linear fashion and feel the love of God, where they sing the songs and have the healings that you can have here. And they are comfortable with this, and they are joiners. And there's no thing wrong with that. So if you can visualize something for this grand church, visualize purity, appropriateness, and change. And they will have a chance to do that because the crystalline of remembrance is starting to move. When human beings live on the crystalline grid in certain places, it feeds them every day with what has taken place there. Can you see what that might do? if the grid starts to remember things more profound that are beautiful than ugly, that's a recalibration even of the grid. There is no symmetry on the crystalline grid. Humans don't work in symmetrical ways. So if you start drawing lines around these places, you're not going to find that they spell something. There's not going to be a mystery solved. No puzzle from one to the other. It's what humans did in certain places that create the patterning of the grid. And now we get to the magnetic. The magnetic grid, if you could say, what is it about? It is communications. Not all planets have a magnetic field. It requires planets that have not cooled yet completely to have a magnetic field. Not all magnetic fields have poles which are north and south. So it's not the same everywhere. Yours is carefully designed. We've told you some anomalies about the magnetic field that you should know. We have cited things about magnetics that you should know. First and foremost is that it is necessary for life. If you change the magnetics of the planet too much, life will change. If you decide to go to another planet on a very long voyage, you must take the magnetic field with you. You must simulate as much as possible what you have here and surround yourself with it so your biology thinks it's the same. There will be tests of this, and you'll see. But that's not what it's for. You get into physics, dear ones, and there are not all those interested in physics, but let me tell you something. This planet is being communicated with constantly and not by necessarily others out there like you. We are talking about energies of the galaxy. We're talking about physics with an attitude. We're talking about things that are magnetic and beyond. Quantum things that literally speak to this planet as though the galaxy were alive, speaking to where you are and what you're doing. If you've noticed carefully, and perhaps you haven't even looked, but the scientists know there's something dealing with magnetics that's new and is happening in your solar system that was never there before. Even the solar system is beginning to become recalibrated. We told you that. The sun is involved greatly. It has something called the heliosphere, the magnetic field of the sun, energy which is blasted out constantly, has another name, the solar wind, which quantumly measures the planet's fulcrum energy. That is to say, the planets around the sun push and pull the sun's core through what you would say is gravity. The sun, being the mother of the solar system, is very in tune where all the planets are, for they constantly pull upon the sun. This is a quantum patterning of the sun that is then transmitted to the earth through the solar wind, intercepted by the magnetic field, and transferred to you. And you have a name for it. Astrology. It starts to explain birth signs. It also starts to explain that no matter how you work the astrology, even backwards, even the Vedic, it's the same thing. And it's going to give you the same answers, for it's the same patterns, just a little upside down. The magnetic grid is a communicator. Oh, but there's more. So the solar system talks to you. You are literally patterned by it through the sun in your DNA. There are times on the planet that affect human consciousness. Full moons, void moons, retrogrades. Measurable they are in society by how much crime there is. How do you explain that? It's about consciousness. It comes and goes like the tide. Basically, through what the solar system does, all through the magnetic grid. The magnetic grid of the planet is like an antenna that is universal. But there's more. You need magnetics for entanglement. Now, if you were not part of the lecture earlier today, you may not know what that is. It's a quantum connection that is beyond the 3 dimensions. And you need magnetics to create it. And so the magnetic fields becomes part of an entanglement engine from a very far away place. I'll give you 2 new things in physics. One, I have spoken of before, so it doesn't get included in the 2 new ones. I'll start with this one. There's 2 missing laws of physics you will discover. There are 4 now, there should be 6. The 2 laws of physics which are missing is a strong and weak multidimensional state or force. They work much like that in current physics, only quantumly. And it starts to explain things that you have not been able to understand or figure out in 3D. 2 new things. Number 1. In astronomy, those who look at the galaxies, including this one, don't understand why the stars move around the middle the way they do. Like they're pasted on a plate. Like a bicycle wheel whose spokes never move except together. Because they're hardwired to the rim. That's the way the galaxy moves. Around the middle. That's not Newtonian, if you noticed. It doesn't have anything to do with mass, if you've noticed. And it is not 3-dimensional physics, if you've noticed. And every spiral galaxy does it. If you look at Andromeda, it does it. If you look at the Milky Way, it does it. And I'll tell you why. Because you are entangled with the middle. That is to say, the middle of the galaxy contains something you have called the potential of a singularity. It is not a black hole per se. It is a quantum event. It is a push-pull energy. You call it a black hole, we call it the twins. There's a push-pull quantum energy there, a strong and weak force. Physicists, listen to this channel. Perhaps this will lead to discovery of ideas. This galaxy is entangled. That is to say, whatever is happening in the middle is so strong with you, it rotates and you rotate with it. And what could it be in the middle? There's a portal there. And that's as far as we're going to go. A portal there. A grand one. It is not where you meet God. It's something grander than that. Perhaps even there is a communication with something else. That was number 1. Number 2, is it interesting that astronomers have to work the puzzle backwards to tell you that in order for the Big Bang to have happened, there has to be missing energy. And instead of saying there's missing energy, they say there has to be matter involved. And that matter, of course, is invisible and it's dark. And so in other words, for things to happen the way they've happened, if you work the puzzle backwards, you'll discover the only simulation that makes any sense is when you add in a whole bunch of things you don't understand. And you call it dark matter. Well, it isn't matter at all, dear ones, it's quantum energy. Quantum energy is not definable with 3-dimensional attributes. And so we will just say it's quantum energy that pushes and pulls on the 3-dimensional part. There's no such thing as dark matter. This is the missing puzzle. Physicists and astronomers, when you start understanding the push and the pull that created the universe, that is part of this galaxy, you will see the strong and the weak, multidimensional force that explains it all. It'll fall into the puzzle, and the formulas will work. And then you will see the truth of it. Almost everything you're looking at is quantum. Not the small, but the very large. And then I beg you, biologists, to start looking inside. For as it is in the small and the large, it is in the human being, and you will start to see the miracle of quantum DNA. These are the three grids. The magnetic grid of your planet communicates with you constantly. And now, just before I go, I'll talk about your parents. No, not the ones you think. There's Pleiadians in the room. And they're invisible. There's more and more of them all the time, and they're coming out of the portals that are being released in 2012. Pleiadians don't have to have spaceships to get here. They're entangled with you, and always have been, because they're part of the universe. I'm giving you some information we have never described before. If you're in an entangled state, dear one, and you understand multidimensional, and you understand multidimensional physics, you're going to start understanding that teleportation is not something that is science fiction. Anything in an entangled state is part of itself. It can be in two places at the same time. There's Pleiadians in the room. You think they're here. How do you define here? Is God here? And if God is here, does that mean he's missing somewhere else? No. Is God in your house right now? Watching over your loved ones, if they're there? And the answer is yes. Is God here in this room with you right now? And the answer is yes. How can God be in two places at the same time? There's Pleiadians here. Thousands of years ago, they knew how to do this. It's not simply high science. It's part of spiritual awareness. The more spiritual aware this earth becomes, the higher scientifics it'll be given, and the more that it'll understand about peace. Those are your parents. The Pleiadians watch over this place. There's a mountain in California, they're pouring out of it. You call it Shasta. There's a time capsule there, which is not really a time capsule at all. It's simply a portal for the Pleiadians. You stand on that mountain, you can hear him, you can see him. Lights flash. They come and they go. I want to tell you something. All in appropriateness and love, they are seeing what you're doing. They realize you made it. There's going to be a lot of activity on this planet. They're part of the magnetic grid. Communications, that's how they do it. If your Earth did not have the grid that Gaia put here, through the molten center of the Earth that still moves and creates the engine of magnetics, they would never be able to have come. If you did not have the crystalline, there would be no remembrance. You would have no help. And this is what is starting to occur. For the light worker is starting to get help. And that's coming from the crystalline. Together they represent something that we have taught now for 20 years. The earth is changing, consciousness is shifting, and the old souls are awakening. Blessed is the human being who starts to put this together and understand that they are here not by accident, but for a reason. lighthouses each, go from this place differently than you came, holding energies that you didn't have before you came, and live longer because of it. I am Kryon, in love with humanity. In love with humanity. And so it is.